I'd like to welcome everybody to our City Council meeting of September 26th. It's time for us to get started, but prior to our beginning our official session, we're going to have a short message or invocation from our own City Council member, Chris Coleman. If those who would like to participate with us, we would ask that you stand at this time.
Thank you. My Catholic faith has a prayer for government leaders that I would like to share today. God of power and might, wisdom and justice, through you authority is rightly administered, laws are enacted, and judgment is decreed. Assist with your spirit of counsel and fortitude the President and all leaders of government, including the staff and council of the City of Des Moines. May they always seek the ways of righteousness, justice, and mercy. Grant that they may be enabled by your powerful protection to lead our country and this community with honesty and integrity. And we ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen. Thank you.
I'll ask the clerk to take roll, please.
County.
Here.
Coleman.
Here.
Moore. Greiss. Mahaffey. Hensley. Here. Meyer. Here. We have a quorum.
Item 2 is approving the agenda as presented and or as amended.
Moved.
It's been moved. Any thoughts? Seeing none. Mr. Coleman?
Thank you.
7 yes.
Item 3 is approving the consent agenda tonight. Those are items 3 through 42. These are routine items and they will be enacted as one roll call without any separate discussion unless somebody from the audience or potentially one of our own council members polls for either clarification or further discussion. Tonight, item 5, council members Moore and I vote no. Item 26, Councilmember Hensley wishes to speak. Item 35, Councilmember Hensley votes no. Are there any other items from anybody in the audience to speak? Yes.
I'd like to speak on
On item
item 35.
35. Okay. Any others? Seeing none, could we have a motion on the balance, please?
I'd like to speak on the admittance of the neighborhoods into the priority filing program.
Into what?
The priority filing program, I'm not sure the item number, I apologize.
Okay, I think it's 44. I believe it's a hearing item.
It's out of consent.
So you'll be fine speaking on it.
Yeah, it's a second item after consent. So it's okay. No problem. Thank you. We have a vote.
7 yes.
All right. We now move to item 26. Item 26 is approving a preliminary term of agreement with West End Lofts, LLC for the renovation of 1440 Locust Street, Council Communication number 11-624. Mrs. Hensley.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a project that's for the interest of the people in the audience. The Hubble company is working on the Mitchell building, and this is to rehab it into market rate apartments as well as commercial space on the lower level. And so I'm excited about this project moving forward, but the reason I really wanted to pull it off the agenda was because many people probably in the community might have been aware that the Des Moines Social Club was also looking at this property. And I just want to make sure that everybody is aware of the fact that we've met with the social club and will, from the city's perspective, will work with them to assist them in finding a location for their venues. So this project or this property is not going to be available, but there are lots of other options within the community that we're having discussions on. So I wanted to make sure that people were aware of that. So I will go ahead and move item 26 and anxious for this project to get going.
Is there anyone else to make any comment?
7 yes.
Okay, next item, again, is approving item 35, which is a payment of $500,000 to Octavius Bonds and Aaron Evans, one half payable on or before October 7th of 2011, and the other half payable between July 1 and July 15 of 2012 for settlement of a lawsuit brought against two former police officers. There's a member of the audience who's asked to have this one pulled. If you would come to the podium, please, and give us your name and address.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. My name is Angela Nimmers. My address right now is General Delivery. I just got back to Des Moines. I was up in Ames. And my arrest occurred in Story County in the city of Ames. And I was arrested for third-degree harassment. And since all law enforcement officers start out at the Law Enforcement Academy located by Camp Dodge, I thought this might be prevalent to this issue. May I continue?
I'm not sure that it is pertinent to this item,
Well,
but
it won't take but a moment. I mean, it did happen in Story County in the city of Ames, but I was arrested when I had a verbal argument with an African-American woman from Illinois who was staying at the emergency shelter for families offered in the city of Ames. And I was staying at the emergency shelter for women, the next house to the north of her. She phoned the police and had me arrested. I was exiting the property to which I was residing with my possessions when Officer Seth Howard came up from behind me, grabbed my arms, whipped my hands behind my back, and cuffed me.
okay, is this about Des Moines?
Well, all law enforcement officers start at Camp Dodge.
That's
I'm
not
quite
Des
sure
Moines.
that's true of ours.
Camp Dodge,
Well-
we have our own police
Well, the
training
harassment I
area.
endured was no different than the African-American couple that won the lawsuit here. And I would just like to be directed to, if you vote to pay the lawsuit, tell me the name of the attorney so I can put my name on the list. But if you vote not to pay the lawsuit, then may I recommend that a conversation be held between city councils of all 99 counties and maybe install some kind of oversight committee that oversees exactly what is being taught to our cadets out at this law enforcement academy.
Okay, again, our law enforcement officers take their training here at the Des Moines Police Academy. And it's out on Army Post Road, not at Camp Dodge.
Well,
But we'll forward your comments.
I'm just Jane Q. Public.
No, I understand.
And I'm an indigenous Iowan who happens to be an indigent at this time. But I was not read my rights. I was searched just way too many times. I was shackled like a serial killer for a simple civil misdemeanor. I was almost sent into respiratory distress because I was put into a squad car when the heat index was 101 degrees, so in there it had to have been 110. And I was humiliated beyond belief. We live in a post-911 era, and we're all profiled to some degree, and we have to adjust to that. However, I'm fourth-generation Iowan. I was born in Woodbury County. I was raised in Polk County, whether I liked it or not, and was just trying to go to the university. But after my experience, my high school diploma tassel, that was worth the hassle. But my degree is not. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's receive and file, and I suggest we would forward that on to the Iowa Police Academy at Camp Dodge.
Okay. Then I'll move item 35.
So the motion is receive and file and move 35?
No,
I
they're
thought it
separate
was two
motions.
different
They're
motions.
two separate motions.
Gotcha.
7 yes.
Okay, and it's unclear to me, I think they were just speaking on that. We have one vote against 35 unless we want to vote it again.
I thought we were doing two separate votes.
Okay? Mr. Coleman?
Move item 35.
Okay?
6 yes, 1 no.
All right. That brings us to the end of the consent agenda. That now brings us to item 43, which is ordinances for first consideration. Item 43 is amending Chapter 114 of the Municipal Code, submitting traffic regulation changes as follows. A, prohibited right turn on red at the intersection of 42nd Street and Center Streets. And B is a parking restriction on the west side of Southeast 5th Street, south of Livingston Avenue, Council Communication number 11-604.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to just address item 43A, and I know Gary's out in the audience, but there's been a great deal of work that's gone on with this, and so I'm really pleased that we're able to get this change made because there have been some real concerns, traffic flow-wise, at the freeway exit right there with Hubble School. I would ask that we waive the second and third readings based upon the non-pre-published so that we could install that signage as quickly as legally possible then.
How are we, Gary, could you just clarify for everybody at 42nd and Center, we're talking about, is that north or south of the freeway?
Be just north, I believe.
I hope so.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, Gary Fox, City Traffic Engineer. Yes, the intersection is the north leg there, the westbound exit ramp where they turn.
Yep.
To go right there across is the crosswalk where a lot of students cross over to Hubble Elementary School. So it's actually the southbound traffic on that north leg that we prohibit the right turn on red. The state already prohibits the right turn coming off the freeway exit ramp, and this would prohibit it from 42nd Street to enter onto the freeway on red, so they don't cross those school crosswalks.
Okay.
But it's not the
Just
south
wanted to
end,
clarify that for anybody watching. Thank you, Gary.
And we worked closely with the principal at the school to make sure that everybody's in agreement on that. So I'll move 43A and B.
Any other comments?
The cameras are working.
Seeing none.
No turn on right. Yes, you're waiting.
Halley? Thank you.
7 yes.
Item 4 is amending Chapter 114 of the Municipal Code to add streets in 5 neighborhoods to the list of snow ordinance street designations. Council Communication number 11-601. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak on this item? If you'd approach the podium, give us your name and address, and love to hear what you have to say.
Wendy Lucina, 4155 53rd Street in Des Moines, Iowa. I live in the Merle Hay Neighborhood Association. My understanding and my communication with Pat, Bill, Steve, is that Steve sent the message to Bill to approve Merle Hay Neighborhood in the ordinance on Thursday. However, that does not give appropriate time for our neighborhood residents to be able to attend the meeting. Therefore, number one, I would like to declare this a controversial issue so we can ensure that it gets 3 readings. Number two, if you do approve it tonight, I would like it to be with reservation. Halley, you attended the Merle Hay Association meeting where the residents clearly opposed being admitted into this program. I mentioned to Steve on the phone, I work evenings and then during the day I take care of kids. I'm done with those kids. I have no problem knocking door to door to see am I the one that's wrong? I'd like to know. Steve openly admitted, and even in the Facebook post that was posted at 2:16 today announcing the admittance in the program, which Steve, help me out here, because I think it's unfair that it was approved. He sent the message Thursday and they're immediately included in this meeting. There should have been time for Steve to communicate it to us, the residents, time for an additional neighborhood association meeting to discuss it, to ensure that it's a good decision prior to the admittance. I think that's fair and reasonable, and I think it would be a good faith thing to do. On top of that, also keep in mind that the board admits, even on Facebook, in the Facebook Neighborhood Association page and the post that he put today, that while they do the best they can to represent the neighborhood, there is no assurance that they completely do. I'd like that opportunity. I'd like to go from house to house, sign this if you agree to be in, sign this if you don't. I'd like that opportunity prior to any approval tonight, and that's regarding the Merle Hay neighborhood. I think the other neighborhood associations deserve the same thing, where any reading approving them into this program There should be a requirement that an additional neighborhood association meeting happen after the admittance prior to the final reading, so that all residents have the opportunity to be clearly notified, since that's what the neighborhood association purpose is to ensure that we're aware of what the city council and what the government is doing. Thanks for your time.
Wendy, thank you. Halley, I'd sort of like to ask for your input on this. If you...
May I say one other thing? Bill Stowe's an absolute gem. He and I are on different pages on this, but every conversation I've had with him has been phenomenal.
Thank you.
And I want that noted.
Thank you. Bill, take note.
Sorry, love.
Oh, sorry, that's my generic term.
Sir, did you want to make a comment also? Is there anybody else wants to comment on this? No? Halley?
I am going to move just the first reading tonight. We emailed back and forth this afternoon, and I talked to Bill and Pat for a while. If we take Merle Hay out of this tonight, then they won't be able to get added in just with time. So we're going to pass the first reading tonight, and that'll allow...
I'd like to have them removed.
No, hold on.
I apologize.
So I'm going to pass the first move to have the first reading read, and then if we get neighborhood support that says we don't want this in our neighborhood, we can always take it out.
So you will allow me to present?
Yep, absolutely. So we will have 2 more meetings, so that'll go well through the end of October before we make a final decision on it.
All right, so we have a motion on the table to move the first reading.
Yes, please. And I think we have another speaker.
Okay, and we have another speaker.
Hi, Steve Berry, 2743 53rd Street, President of the Merle Hay Neighborhood Association. Pat Kozitsa came out and gave us a presentation about the program, how effective it was in the neighborhoods that it's already being implemented. And it was my opinion from that meeting that most of the people were in favor. We had several people who were against it, but the people that I talked to afterwards, and most of them are homeowners, liked the plan. They remember 2 winters ago when we had a very difficult time getting down our streets, and Pat said with this program it would make it a lot easier for people, not only residential traffic but emergency traffic. And it is difficult. And we represent members of our association. We don't represent the neighborhood as a whole. Anybody's welcome to come. We have a $15 a year fee to join, but if people want to come and speak their mind, we certainly allow that too. It is tough to get a representative consensus, aside from going door to door, which we just don't have the manpower to do, to get a truly democratic vote on this. But from talking to people in the neighborhood over the past 6 months, what would you think about this? What's your thought on this plan? How would it affect you? The vast majority, I would say 90%, like the idea. Some will be put out by it, obviously, but that's part of what happens when you do something on this grand a scale. So,
Steve, appreciate your comments, and I think they're well taken, but I think that we want to make sure everybody has an opportunity to have input. All the input I think that we've gotten here from the neighborhoods that have participated has been pretty doggone positive for
Very positive.
A lot of reasons. But I will say that it seemed to me you got pretty good support on your last venture down here on payday loan deals. So thank you for speaking out, and thank you for coming down and representing your position as well.
May I ask one other question? In the spring, Halley and I discussed...
If you just want to come up to the podium.
If I can ask one other question. And Bill, I don't mean to bust you here, I'm going a little bit. In my meetings with Bill and Pat in January, or in December, January, not sure what it was, I asked them to show that they're meeting the 33% time and cost reduction. I haven't seen the numbers. I've seen that, yes, we're meeting it, but I haven't seen the numbers yet. And I will openly tell you in council and want this in the minutes. You hit that 33, I'll be your biggest advocate and biggest screamer, and you know that. Because I think as a city council, you should pass a citywide ordinance. However, I think residents should have 24 hours to get their car off the street, the way they do in West Des Moines and Johnston. It is not feasible. When I talk to a guy about cleaning my driveway, he can't guarantee me he can be there first thing in the morning. However, he can guarantee me he can be there within 24 hours. So if I need to move my car to the street to make sure that I can get out to work when I find another day job to compensate the other income from my night jobs, you know, he and I can work together on when he needs to be there. versus the way it is now. Immediately, soon as the snow stops, please, City Council, think about passing a citywide ordinance, but please give residents 24 hours to get their cars off the streets, to move them off their driveways, clean their driveways off, and put them back.
Okay. Point made. I will also say that we've gotten a lot of calls from neighbors that actually up in your ward, Halley, that have said that we're not fast enough. We don't move the snow quick enough because they can't get to work on heavy snow days, and they wish that we'd move the plows much faster than what we do because they can't get out of their neighborhoods and onto the street. So we've got sort of both sides of the discussion going on. Appreciate your points. And we have
Mayor,
a motion.
if I could make one other point, only waiving the first reading tonight doesn't affect the time of the other neighborhoods involved, just so you're aware of that.
I recognize some of these neighborhoods that wanted to be in it last year, and there wasn't enough availability for them, so they're really looking forward to it this year. And so I'd like to see that goes forward.
All right. We have a motion and a vote in progress.
Didn't Halley move the first reading?
Yep.
Seven yes.
All right. Item number 45 was not used. Item 46 was a request from Carl Nelson of 1340 East 13th to speak regarding special assessments charged against his property. Is Carl in the audience? Could we have a motion?
I'll move to receive and file. No, it's Bob's.
Seven yes.
Item 47 is a receipt of the 2010-11 annual report from the Greater Des Moines Public Art Foundation.
I'll move to receive and file this.
All right. Anybody in the audience to comment? Seeing none?
You know, on that 46, I talked to that gentleman, and he may be down later, so, because he was trying to figure out about when it'd be on the docket.
Well, he'd have to generally be here before 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
Okay.
Seven yes.
All right. 48. Attorneys for the Waterfront Lodging and Riverfront Associates, LP, to give a short presentation regarding the development proposed for property in the vicinity of Southwest Water Street, Vine Street, Southwest 2nd Street, and Market Street.
Mr. Mayor, William Lillis, 317 6th Avenue, Suite 300, along with my partner Dan Manning. We are the attorneys for Waterfront Lodging and Riverfront Associates. They desire to build a very, very nice Hampton Suites property right on the river. With me this evening would be one of our clients, Mr. Ravi Patel, who, with your indulgence, he'd like to make a presentation to City Council. We've talked with the manager. We're not asking that this item be other than received, filed, or referred, and discussed at a later time, hopefully very soon. And so with that, I'd like to introduce Mr. Patel. Ravi?
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, city manager, and city attorney, sincere thank you for having us here today. My name is Ravi Patel, 1701 Mount Pleasant Street, Burlington, Iowa. I'm here on behalf of Hawkeye Hotels. I'm the senior vice president for Hawkeye Hotels and principal of Hawkeye Hotels. My father, Bob Patel, sitting on it, is the founder of Hawkeye Hotels. I'd like to just tell you a little bit about our company before I begin here. My father started in the hotel industry 30 years ago, purchased a shut-down 13-room hotel in Mena, Arkansas. Ran a paper out at the time, grew from there, became the first minority Marriott franchisee, developed our first Marriott product in Ottumwa, Iowa. The first three we signed up were in Ottumwa, Iowa, Keokuk, Iowa, and Burlington, Iowa. For your record, we do still own all three of those properties. Have owned those for over 20 years now, so we're not a developer who just likes to come in, build, flip, and leave you guys. We're involved in invested in all of our communities. We're in over a dozen communities in Iowa currently. and have a lot of pride at the state of Iowa. My little brother's currently running for city council in Iowa City, and I currently live in Iowa City. My father lives in Burlington, Iowa. We have a satellite office in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. I'd like to delve into my presentation just a little bit here now. We are proposing Hampton Inn and Suites development in downtown Des Moines on the riverfront, just 2 blocks north of the iCub Stadium. This is just an organizational chart of our corporate office. We've got about 20 people at our corporate level. We employ over 2,000 people throughout the nation, own over 60 hotels, and with every construction job site, employ anywhere from 300 to 600 people. And we currently have about 5 projects under construction in Iowa. This Hampton Inn, and on your top left corner is a Hampton Inn we own in Keokuk, Iowa. Top right corner is a Hampton Inn we just opened in Muscatine, Iowa. On the bottom is Hampton Inn we own in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, an identical property we own in Davenport, Iowa. We had originally, when we've been working on this project with the city of Des Moines for about 2.5 to 3 years now. We are the 3rd developer to try to do this project on this piece of land that Frank Levy owns. I believe 2nd hotel developer. When we first presented these concepts to Matt Anderson with the city of Des Moines, we'd kind of laid out, we were planning on doing the Hampton prototype, which is on the bottom there, which is the one we have in Davenport and Cedar Rapids. Hampton Inn has over 2,000 locations throughout the United States. It was voted the #1 franchise to own in America by Entrepreneur magazine. If you ask any hotelier, it's probably the prominent best franchise in the hotel industry. There are 4 urban concept Hamptons that are open in the United States. The one in the top right corner is on Beale Street in Memphis. The one on the top left corner is my friend Mitch Patel in Chattanooga, Tennessee. The one on the bottom left corner is in Mobile, Alabama. The one on the bottom right corner is in Nashville, Tennessee. As we were running through some of these ideas with Mr. Anderson, we proposed 3 different concepts. We proposed the plain Jane Hampton, as I'll call it, that I showed you earlier, that you'd find in Davenport, Cedar Rapids, Ankeny, a lot of the cities around the United States. And then we had other ideas. I mean, as I'd mentioned, we're very invested into our communities. We'd like to do something upgraded, and there's only 4 of these open. Every single other Hampton, aside from, let's say, a Chicago or a Manhattan, are just your typical prototypes. And we wanted to do, these 4 are coined through the Hilton world as trophy Hamptons. So we wanted to put a trophy Hampton in downtown Des Moines. In order to do so, we had asked for a minor incentive of tax abatement of 75% on the first, I believe, 15 years, which comes out to about $180,000 a year, which was moving forward. Seemed like it was going just fine. Oh, here's some other actually urban projects that Hawkeye Hotels owns. The one on the left is the Old Bexar County Jail in downtown San Antonio, which we'd converted to a hotel. The one on the top is Theater Office Building, which we'd converted into a Town Place by Marriott, also downtown San Antonio. The one on the right is Hampton Inn in downtown Montgomery, which we'd done adaptive reuse for. The one on the bottom is a miniature version of a W. It's also with Starwood Hotels. We own that on the East Coast. Here is a rendering of the Hampton we'd like to put in downtown Des Moines. We'd taken this to Urban Review Design Board. They'd given us some suggestions. We've incorporated that into this. We're adding a patio on the outside, as they'd mentioned. They'd like us to put some retail space on one side. We've also added that. So about a year back, when we decided we were going to move forward with, as I'd coined, the Trophy Hampton. At that time, it was going to be a 4-story stick construction Hampton, also with the corner concept, though. Year ago, we had a meeting with the economic development folks, Rita Connor, Terry Vorbich, who have been great, very helpful, and they told us about some flood issues the city of Des Moines was having. So we decided to go back, and we did not ask for any more incentives, anything like that. It was just a cost we were going to eat. We decided to go ahead and go to a 6-story steel building for Hampton and Suites, same location.
Rob, can you hang on? I'm going to have to ask the council. You've kind of run over time. The
Sure.
question is, I just want to get permission from the council. Should we listen to the rest of his
Couple more minutes.
presentation?
Couple
or-
more minutes.
Okay, no problem.
Couple more minutes. Would you keep track of that?
Not a problem. So we have moved forward with this concept, and we've been trying to keep pushing that through the city. So now we have two options. We have a couple options. I mean, we've got drawings done for 2.5 different types of Hamptons on this site now. We had the plain Jane Hampton, which we were originally planning on doing, so we've got drawings completely done for that. We've got half drawings done for that 4-story trophy Hampton. Then we've got full drawings done for this Hampton, which I'm proud to say we're also planning on LEED certifying the building. So that's something we're very excited about. This is just a snapshot of what it would look like from across the river. You've got your Vine Street lofts, your Brown Camp lofts, and our Hampton and Suites right there. This is we took some suggestions from the city when they'd said our site wasn't as attractive as they'd like it to be. Mr. Gary Hammers from GSH Landscape Architects made a very attractive landscape for us, permeable pavers. You can see a little outlot for the retail commercial space the city had asked for. We've engaged the top hotel architect in the nation who's done some of those other trophy Hamptons, so to speak. And this is our interior design firm. We've done a lot of great interior design work inside the property. Reflective ceiling plans of the caliber you'd probably see in Las Vegas. Here's tax benefit analyses I'd provided, the city had asked for. What you'll see from this is from your property taxes, your sales, lodging, or bed taxes, job creation, payroll impact, and consumer impact. Over the next 20 years, this project will bring $250 million to the city of Des Moines. And that's just kind of a breakdown of the different taxes, that sort of thing. Any questions?
Thank you. Any questions? Anybody at this time?
You know, obviously you'll hire local for your staffing, but in the construction phase, do you have a company that's building these for you, or do you try and hire local for construction?
Great question. In any of the communities we go into, our first preference is to have all local subcontractors. A good example would be Davenport, Iowa. I would say about half of our subcontractors were local when we built that project. Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Again, I'd say 50 to 60% of the subs were local. So we do give preferential treatment to local subcontractors. So yeah, great question, and we will do all that we can to make sure. We do obviously get competitive bids, but as long as they're competitive, we'd prefer to go local.
Anything else? Christine?
Appreciate very much you coming here. I think one of the items that you didn't share is that there have been meetings with the Economic Development Committee of the Council, and we've had a couple meetings where we've been looking at that. And I think the agreement, Robbie, is that we're, obviously we'd love to see the hotel go forward, but a couple of real key issues. One is parking, and you're very much aware of the parking issue and resolution to that, trying to figure out how to make that work. And the other big issue is there are several hotels that are being discussed within the community, and so we really need to have a plan in place, because once we do something for your particular project, that's going to be sending a message for the other projects. And so we've got to be sure that we've got the ability to work with all of them. So my motion will be to receive and file, or refer and file it back to the city managers, because I don't think it's appropriate to have the negotiation or those types of discussions with the full council. We're just not going to get any place. So we'll continue the process. I think from my perspective, very supportive, but we need to figure out how we're going to deal with some of these issues and the position that the council will ultimately be asked to take as we deal with the other projects that are coming through the pipeline.
Sure. And I'd like to just touch on a few of the things you'd mentioned there. One of the biggest stumbling blocks we're having here, which has kind of come in the 11th hour that we were not expecting at all, is the structured parking there. And just to be frank, I'm not a structured parking developer. I don't know how it works. I don't know how to operate one. I'm a hotel developer, so we'd like to do our hotel. We're very supportive if they're, and Mr. I believe John McRoberts is planning to propose a structured parking garage adjacent to our development, and we would be ecstatic for him to do that, as some of our retail, commercial space would be able to park there. Something that's very pressing about this project is, I mean, we've been pushing to get this done and pushing to get it through the city since the beginning of the year, and there's three big moving pieces to this project which could fall through at any minute, which are I've got a financing commitment lined up that expires at the end of the year, and as everybody knows, with as tight as credit markets are these days, if that goes, who knows when I could get this project back up and going again. Second moving piece is Hilton Worldwide has already given me my franchise agreement to it, given me approvals for that. And the third moving piece is Mr. Frank Levy has been generous enough to extend my purchase sale agreement for 2.5 to 3 years now. When it comes to your questions to the other hotels, we didn't ask for any more incentives than we originally did, even after we agreed to spend over $4 million more to take it to the next level of the hotel. And the only reason that there's some incentives being asked is because there are dilapidated buildings on the site that we would need to demolish. There's groundwork that needs to be done. So it is totally revitalizing that area. It's not just a pad-ready piece of ground that I'm just going in. If that was the case, I'd be able to go in there and build the site, build the hotel with no problems. And it is because of promises and because of conversations we've had with the city to continue moving forward with very nice urban sexy concept that we've.
Robbie, I don't think anybody disagrees with that, but
sure.
I think the discussion that you're having right now with the council really needs to be held with the city manager and the economic development committee. And because we're not going to come to any decisions here at the council table on this. And I think it's fair to say I'll look to the city manager for concurrence here, but I would be surprised if we couldn't get resolution to this so that you can meet your 12/31 commitment. I mean, that gives us 3 months. I know we've been working on it, but there have been a lot of different issues. And it's not that there's not interest. There's a lot of interest, and we want to help you be successful and to have you be a part of the Des Moines community, but we've just got to work through some of these issues.
Sure.
So is that a timeline appropriate?
Mrs. Hensley, council members, yes, that's appropriate. And that would be the typical way these kind of projects are handled, I think you know, and I think Bill Lillis knows as well. And we're eager to do that and work through with you. We've had a number of meetings, as you know, and we'll continue to do that. I understand, as well as anybody in the room, that there's a sense of urgency here, and we know you need a decision. You have all of these points that you just made about the sense of urgency that you have, so we will do our very best to be responsive to those and help get to a decision point this and back to the council.
Thank you very much for all.
It sounds like we're ready to vote. I'll say this real quick. I did ask them to sit down with the Convention and Visitors Bureau. I represent the city over on that board, and I know that they had a chance to meet today. And this isn't intended to slow this project down at all, but 4 years ago, the CVB did a hotel study in downtown trying to weigh the market of a headquarters hotel at the convention center when people were trying to get the county to help subsidize or make that happen. The CVB is going to update that study for the downtown area, and I think that'll be helpful as we deal with the various hotels that are talking to us right now.
Okay. So my motion is to receive and file it back to the city manager, economic development, with the understanding that we've got some deadlines to meet.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you. Seven yes.
All right, it is 5:15, and we're going to quickly move into our hearings. Item 49 is on a request from Hugh Nungen to rezone 1435 University Avenue from R3 multifamily residential to limited C1 neighborhood retail commercial to allow for retail development and to continue to October 10th at 5 o'clock at the applicant's request. The Planning and Zoning Commission has recommended denial on that, so the motion here actually is to continue to October 10th. Anybody here to speak on this?
I'll move.
7 yes.
Item 50, on the request from Exodus Groups Investments LLC to rezone 1825 East Army Post Road from C2 General Retail and Highway-Oriented Commercial to Limited M1 Light Industrial to allow expansion of existing retail, wholesale, farm, and city supply. A is the first consideration of the ordinance above, and B is the final consideration of the ordinance above. The waiver is requested by the applicant and requires 6 votes. Is there anyone in the audience to speak on item 50?
I'll move 50, A and B.
Seven yes.
Item 51, on a request from McDonald's Corporation to rezone 3002 Forest Avenue from limited C1 neighborhood retail commercial to a revised limited C1 neighborhood retail commercial to allow the revision of conditions defining the site circulation and parking configurations and exterior design of the building subject to conditions, and we're going to continue that one to October 10th as well. Anybody here to speak on this or has any thoughts? Seeing none, could we have a motion?
Move.
I know, just for information purposes for the council, I know there is some discussion with the Drake Neighborhood Association, and there was a great deal of work that went into getting the current design and building structure that they have, so we need to work with McDonald's to remind them of that
Some
work.
earlier commitments?
Yes, yes.
But hopefully that can be worked out by October 10th.
That's the plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back when Halley was in 6th grade.
Ooh. Okay.
Probably wasn't that whole.
Thank you. See you there? Okay, so item 52 on the request from Capstone Ventures LLC to rezone 315 Southwest 14th Street from C3B Central Business District Mixed Use to PUD Planned Unit Development, and we're going to continue that till October 24th at 5 p.m. Is that
I'll
correct?
move.
Anybody to speak? Seeing none.
Mayor, not to be picky, but on the item before this, 51, did we vote on that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, and you had your vote on that, too.
Yes.
My thing kept
Blinking.
so I wasn't sure if it ever opened up.
Item 53, on Fire Station Number 1 replacement, resolutions approving the plans, specifications, form of contract documents, engineer's estimate, and designating the lowest responsible bidder is Oakview DCK LLC, Doug White, President, Structural Division, $5,518,750. Council Communication Number 11-610. Anybody in the audience to speak on this item?
I'll move 53.
Mr. Mayor and Council, just to be clear with Council, the item A, which is approval of the contract.
It's been deleted.
Has been deleted, so that would come back on your next agenda.
Why? I guess I missed that.
There were some discussions, I think, late today between our city engineering staff and the contractor, the low bid, and there were still some issues they were working through. It wasn't problematic, I don't believe, but they just asked for a little bit more time. So,
does that mean we should hold the whole?
no, I understand,
53?
Mr. Mayor, that you can go with the rest of it. Just withhold. It's not uncommon to approve the other items and hold the hearing, but then delay the award of
contract?
Delay the award contract to the next meeting.
I don't know, it kind of seem like they go together, but if you say so, I'm going to take your recommendation.
Legal shaking,
here.
is that right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay, you got it. Mr. Coleman.
Where's this company from that we're not voting on?
I think it's Red Oak, wasn't it?
Red Oak.
Red Oak, Iowa?
7 yes.
Okay, that completes the hearings at 5:20, and I understand that Mr. Nelson has presented himself in the audience, so if someone will let us.
I'll move to reconsider item 46.
Okay, it's been moved to reconsider item 46, which is a request from Carl G. Nelson of 1340 East 13th Street to speak regarding special assessments charged against his property. Mr. Nelson. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Good point. Thank you. Where's Robert? Exactly.
People of council, I'm here this evening to bring to your attention a very troublesome and serious matter involving my income and expenses. I'm facing these special assessments things, and I just don't have the money to cover them. I'm having very heavy repairs on my home and my yard. I'm only on Social Security income, which doesn't go very far. And I really need to have these special assessments waived or eliminated because the money's just not there.
Mr. Nelson, I appreciate your taking the time to come down. I've just spoke to the city manager. I think that what would be appropriate, at least at this moment, maybe it would be referred to the city manager, have him review all your situation, circumstances, and come back with a recommendation that hopefully will help you in your special situation to resolve these assessments, or at least figure out something that works for you and is not only helpful, but helps us resolve any legal issues that we might have on our end, if that would be permissible.
I brought quite a few papers along. I don't know if you want to look at them now or some other time, but...
Well, I think what I'd like to have you do, if you will, is if you'd give them to Mr. Coleman, we will receive them and file them, make them part of the record of this hearing, and then we're going to give them to the city manager, and we're going to get back to you with a recommendation on what we can do.
These are original documents. Can you copy?
Can we make copies of this? Yeah. So if you'll just submit them, we'll move to receive and file them. Then I will we'll have one of the clerks go out, take pictures of them, and then get you your documents back. Phil? Did you have any comment you want to make in addition?
No, he's going to.
Okay. All right. Mr. Delafield, right there behind you, Mr. Nelson, will be happy to help you in that regard. So could we have a motion to receive and file his pertinent
So move. I'll move. Yeah.
evidence? Then move.
You know, this extra item tonight, could that be of some help with his problem?
Well, Mr. Mahaffey will take a look at that,
Okay.
or possibly so.
7 yes.
All right. All right. Now, also, if we could move again to receive and file his comments and testimony, that would be helpful as well.
Move.
I think that would be appropriate, don't you, Mr. Greiss?
7 yes.
Okay. That now completes the communications reports and takes us to item 54. Item 54 is amendments to the city precinct and ward boundaries and approving agreements with Polk and Warren counties for combined precincts. Council communication number 11-619. A is the first consideration of the ordinance above, and B is the final consideration of the ordinance above. This waiver is requested by the city manager, and it requires 6 votes.
I'll move 54, A and B.
Item's been moved. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to make comment on this? Seeing none, item's been moved.
7 yes.
Item 55 is tax abatement action plan to amend the citywide tax abatement program, extending the duration of tax abatements and to redefine the classes of commercial and industrial improvements eligible for abatement. Council communication number 11-623. We had a rather extensive presentation this morning. For those of you that were able to attend, I'll ask if anybody in the audience has any comments or questions. Seeing none,
I will, Mr. Mayor, move item 55. And it's interesting, based upon the news coverage on this morning, I've had 3 calls from businesses trying to figure out now how's this going to work, and there are businesses that are not in currently designated tax abatement. So I think the commercial-wide or the citywide commercial abatement that we're talking about is going to be a real plus for us as we move forward.
No?
I hit the wrong one.
Counts now.
Well, then let me tell you why I hate it.
Okay.
Who's in 6th grade now?
Okay, all in favor, say aye. All in
yes.
favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
7 yes.
7 yes. Item 56, approving an additional category of non-assessed sidewalk in the policy for new sidewalk assessment. Council Communication number 11-607A is the authorization to proceed with discretionary connection sidewalk on the following. One is East Sheridan Avenue from 2658 East Sheridan to Hubble Avenue. 2 is East Gray Street from 345 East Gray Street to Indianola Avenue. And 3 is Hubble Avenue from Tiffin to 500 feet east.
I'll move 56A 1, 2, and 3.
It's been moved. Is there anyone in the audience to speak on this? Mr. Manager.
Mr. Mayor, council members, as you continue to revise the policy about sidewalk construction, one of the impacts that it has is to perhaps increase the number of sidewalk projects that people want to have built in the community. One of the things that you may want to consider as part of going forward is establishing a line item, if you will, in your capital budget, which represents an allocation for this purpose, so that any particular given year you have some way to control the amount of total expenditure that you have. You could change that if you wanted to, but otherwise you open up sort of Pandora's box here, and because of all of our financial issues, it might be appropriate for us to set sort of a limit for spending through your capital budgeting process. Just a consideration. It's a way that you can manage this program without fearing that you're going to end up with a whole slew of projects that you can't afford.
Okay.
7 yes.
Item 57 is a report from the City Council Personnel Committee regarding 2011 compensation for city manager, city clerk, city attorney, and the Human Rights Director. Mr. Coleman, you have been acting as chair of this. Would you like to give us a quick update?
I will, and I would encourage everybody on the council and in the general public to go to the City of Des Moines website and see the report from the committee and the communication to the council. It's under this agenda item, which I just missed.
57?
So it's under item 57. You'll be pleased to know that we've done some additional work this summer and into September. The reason for the timing on this is that last year we froze the base pay for our direct reports an additional time, and in fact kind of said through city council action that we wouldn't take up what increase, if any, our direct reports would have until we got through the end of the fiscal year and made sure that we were on budget, which was July, that we had contracts done with our employees so that we had a little benchmark for what was realistic and affordable for the city operation. We met specifically a couple of times with the manager, I guess, who's charged with most of the oversight of the departments and the activities of the city, and worked over a couple of meetings and email exchanges on a list of goals for the city manager himself. It's hard to not call them city goals as well, because his job is to, run the city. So I'd encourage everybody to take a close look at that. So we're now back at the, towards the end, past the halfway mark of 2011, because we've reached those benchmarks that we had set out in 2010 before we reviewed this. And it's important for people to know that the council has led through this economic downturn, has led with action. We cut our own salary. We didn't just freeze our pay, but we lowered our salary. And our direct reports have had a salary freeze. In fact, Diane and Rick have been here since 2008, early 2008, and since January 1st of 2008, their base salary hasn't changed. I know nobody told Mr. Lester that when he agreed to come work for us earlier this year. He has great big eyes looking at me right now. And as a result, their comps and, comparables to other people have fallen behind. In the last year or so, Cedar Rapids, the second largest city in Iowa, it's maybe 70% our size. They hired their city manager. Again, it's a much smaller community. His salary is more than $25,000 more than our city manager's salary. His retirement, his deferred compensation plan, by a percentage is more than double. Then you factor in his higher, pay. It's pretty significant. I feel like we are at a point where we owe it. The city manager of Dubuque makes more than our city manager, and the Des Moines Public Schools superintendent makes quite a bit more. In fact, even with the anticipated increase in salary that we're recommending for the city manager, I'm using him as a benchmark, those entities would still be paying their staff person more. So with that, we have a couple of recommendations, and let me lay them out, and I'll move them when it's time, but I want to give everybody a chance to ask any questions or make any comments. The first is that the city clerk, city attorney, city manager, and human rights director have a salary increase that would be up to the SPM increase that was negotiated and approved by the council. So for Mr. Clark and Ms. Rao, our two long-serving members, there would be a 3.25% increase. For Mr. Rudy Sims, a 2% increase. And for Mr. Lester, who's right now finishing his first 6 months, his contract called for a review and provided up to a 3% increase, and that's what we're recommending at this time. The council continues to be concerned about the long-term liability as a city of vacation banks. The manager has been working on this with his people, but we're recommending that our direct reports are encouraged. They're not forced to, but highly encouraged to cash out of some of that vacation balance each year. And so we're saying 4 weeks right now. It's much cheaper for us to do it today than it is after increases go in effect and when they get to their retirement period. The city has increased the amount that we give for car allowances. We've tried to decrease the number of cars in our fleet, and we're recommending that the manager's the one that is not at 4,800, which is where the rest of the employees are, and that he would go there. We will do a full personnel committee review for each of these direct reports in the first quarter of 2012 and report back. That's customary to be the time where we do the most significant effort, because that's when a new council is elected or potentially elected. And then the last thing is that we acknowledge Mr. Clark's completion of 5 years as city manager. That is in the last couple of months. At the time he came, he agreed that if he stayed for 5 years, there would be a series of annual contributions to his retirement. Those expired after 5 years, and we're suggesting that those continue on and now be at a level of $12,500 per year. So he would get those on each February 6th, which is the original date of the contract. So if he left after a year, he would only get one and he wouldn't be entitled to the rest of it. I would say it's kind of the thinking of the personnel committee that the goals that we established, while there's annual markers in there, are kind of things that we're working on over the next 3 years. And it's our hope that, we have his focus in on those particular things over this period of his tenure as city manager. So that's our report. I'm really proud of it. And I will tell you, it comes after 3 years of telling these guys you're doing great work, you're doing more with less money and less employees and less resources. and we weren't giving them any increase, and I think we've fallen behind, and I think it's time to do something. So as kind of the spokesperson for the committee, I think it's high time we do something, and our obligation to be a good, solid employer. I think if we weren't entertaining an idea like this, we'd be short-sighting our fine professional leaders. Ms. Rao, Mr. Clark, Mr. Sims, and Mr. Lester do a fantastic job for this city. It's been in the last year we've been named an All-American City, and I think the innovation and creativity that we are employing throughout the enterprise is a reflection of these folks, especially City Manager Rick Clark, that does a great job. I think he has 30-some years in at the city, 5 as city manager, but it is a lucky position we're in to have somebody with his stature and experience pulling the strings here. So that's our report.
Any comments?
I'll make the motion, and I think the roll call is written where it can be one motion to move
Somebody
those.
wants to make a statement.
Mr. Mayor, honorable council members, Joe Galloway, 3622 Davison Road, Des Moines. I just wanted to put in a good work for Rick Clark. I think he's doing a terrific job. I just wanted to point out 2 things. Number 1, recently we had the Hy-Vee Triathlon. And talk about hitting a home run or winning the Super Bowl. That was quite a coup that Rick Clark pulled to get that back to Des Moines after it had left Des Moines several years back. And of course, not only getting it back, but then pulling it off under revised circumstances where we didn't have enough water. It looked like instead of too much water, which had been the original problem. I think Rick earned his money just with that one thing by itself, getting the triathlon back and pulling off a real good performance. That sent untold amounts of money into the city and good publicity for the city. And then secondly, the 2-year budget concept that Rick is using has really been a really great idea. Now, at the council level, you're up here at the policy level, but down in the trenches where I see a lot of the work being done, that has been such a great benefit that maybe it wasn't planned on, but instead of constantly working on the budget, as soon as, if it was on a 1-year plan, you know, no sooner would we be done with 1 year than we'd be trying to figure out how to meet the next year's budget. But with a 2-year gap there, Don Tripp and Ben Page and the rest of the park staff was actually able to work on special projects like the Botanical Center agreement, the new zoo agreement, and they wouldn't have been able to give those important jobs the time they deserved if they had been constantly on this treadmill of working on an annual budget. So the 2-year budget idea has really been great. So I think Rick is doing a great job, and I agree with Chris that really at his pay level we're getting a real good bargain. So I hope you approve this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
I will move the recommendation, which is the salary increase, dealing with the vacation banks, the increase in the car allowance, the review in 2012. They're all eligible for a review in 2012 and any compensation change. The extension of Mr. Clark's retention payment is what it's referred to, and importantly, just to clarify, the goals and performance measures that Mr. Clark has provided the committee and now the council. So that's my motion.
Seven yes.
I did have one other thing that I would just like to suggest while we're on the issue of our reviews and so forth. I checked with the city attorney, Mr. Lester, and he clarified for me that we are in this magic moment that we've kind of looked at every couple of years or every 4 years where a review and compensation for city council members and the mayor can happen. I will tell you that my understanding is that any change would have to happen by November 1st. It has to happen before the election week. So we have 2 meetings in October that if there was any interest in having a chance to review that, now is the period of time to do it. I think Mr. Lester can clarify the law, but no existing elected official can raise their salary and go into effect before the next election cycle. And so in the case of the mayor, there's only this opportunity every 4 years. And you know, I, for one, because we did cut the salary for that position a couple of years ago, and I think it's at least worth a little discussion if other people thought that it was, because we can't, I don't think about it being for Mr. County. I think about it being for the mayor, whoever that happens to be. So I throw that out because I'm aware of that information, and if there was people that wanted to work or talk about that, we should probably decide tonight so that we could come back with something in October.
You know, Chris, I'm sure we all get the question all the time, how much does the council receive in pay and benefits? But overwhelmingly, people are a little bit shocked when they hear what the pay is for the mayors. And I haven't had one person yet that didn't say that we need to increase the pay for the mayor's position. And I do agree, since it only comes around every 4 years, now would be the appropriate time to discuss it. I don't know what form you want it to take, but I believe the support is out there with the residents of Des Moines to start taking a look at increasing the mayor's pay.
Well, I appreciate that conversation. I think that all of us that serve the city and all of our citizens over the last 10 years, I think we've seen a little bit of increase, but we've also seen some decrease, not only in compensation, but reimbursement for some of our expenses. We now have these cell phones, and we get lots of data on them, and those data packages and plans are very expensive, which now we seem to get on these plans as opposed to some of our others. So we have to do that. Those are often hundreds of dollars. There's travel expenses. We have been very good about, for those that participate in the insurance program, we've increased our cost essentially, I would stand for correction, but I think it's about 250% over the last 10 years, and that's not just a city council problem. That's what's happening all across our city organization. Certainly, healthcare is one of our fastest increasing expenses, but certainly those of us that are paying to participate, that cost has gone up significantly. So I think it's at least fair to have the discussion in the review, and I appreciate all of your points, and hopefully we can have that discussion and bring it back to the council.
I'd be very open to anybody sharing me your individual things. I probably should clarify this. We don't have time to redo, nor do I know how I would do it if I was king for a day, the city charter. I mean, we have a city manager council form of government. You know, I think the mayor, we can't change that charter between now and the end of October. I don't think the council can do it ourselves. So, you know, we're not talking about changing the scope of the mayor's job, but, you know, even if you were to compare it to the Board of Supervisors that are, I think, making a hair under $100,000, and you said, you know, the mayor should get, you know, half of that, he's still almost 50% below that number, you know. So just some thoughts. I'd be interested in your personal perspective, and I'd be glad to kind of see where it should go and make a recommendation.
I will say, all I would ask, absolutely.
Would you like to come
You got to come up here to...
It's Wendy again. I would ask one thing in that consideration. Keep in mind there's a lot of us that have lost medical benefits, that don't make as much, had to take pay cuts as well. By all means, Mr. County, you do a great job. Just keep it in mind when you're doing pay raises, because a lot more of us are noticing more now. You've never seen my face before. I probably have been a little more passive than I should have been, but you're probably going to see it a little more often now. I'm paying attention. So
good.
Just keep it in mind. Absolutely, you guys do a great job, but keep it in mind.
Thank you.
Chris, I believe that if we do not take any action, the mayor's position is in line for reduction of pay after the first of the year.
Okay.
How would that be?
I think that he.
Probably because the one that we passed has never gone into effect because it hadn't gone through an election cycle.
Yeah.
I'll bet is the timing.
That's my understanding.
Is that,
The way the Iowa code works is that the mayor's salary can only be adjusted every 4 years. So when there's an intervening adjustment, it's not until after, Councilmember Coleman is correct, it's not until after the next intervening mayoral election that that would take effect, and it would take effect.
so all the council members took a reduction when we took that action, but not the mayor?
Correct. Well, they would take effect after the next, even the council members would take effect after the next council election. But since the mayor's, it's the election for each particular office that would cover, and the mayor's is only every 4 years. Even though the council members is 4 years, that could take place
Every
at 2 years, correct.
And I think the reduction that we voted on was about a year ago, so I'm not sure anybody's seen a reduction yet.
The increase in the benefit contribution.
Right.
I might just make a motion to receive and file my comments, not approving anything, but ask for some input and recognize that we had the conversation.
Okay.
You know, before we get off this, I've had the pleasure of working on the Employee Evaluation Committee. I want to thank Chris for all of his leadership in putting together most of this project. And of course, Christine and myself, we've been part of the input, but Chris has been a great leader on this. So
Well,
thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
7 yes.
All right, we have one extra item this evening. It was presented late after the Wednesday 5 p.m. filing deadline. It's approving a grant request to the Polk County Housing Trust Fund for the following. Councilmember Hensley sponsored this. It's Council Communication number 11-614. A is a minor home repair loan program for the Drake neighborhood, $50,000. B is a minor home repair loan program for $175,000. And C is a lead hazard control program totaling $525,000, $175,000 over 3 years. Is that, Ms. Hensley, that's $175 per year for the 3 years?
Yes.
Okay.
I will move item 1A, B, and C, and these are allowing us to submit grants to the Polk County Housing Trust Fund.
Is there anybody in the audience to speak on this? Seeing none?
7 yes.
Unless anybody else has anything good for the order, could we have a motion to adjourn? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? We sit adjourned. Thank you all for attending.